going on with your arm, man?
So I'm healthy. But for me, it's not about getting well. It's about getting healthier.
Right on, right on. Why don't we have any slides on the stage, maybe? The monitors don't work, by the way. But it doesn't matter. We don't need technology for biohacking, right? Because our biology is the technology. We are already technology. And that's kind of what I want to tell you shortly today.
I don't want to make a scene or anything.
It's part of the program. The remote also doesn't work.
Oh, we're so screwed.
It does. It does. Just joking, man.
You want him on his knees in front of you, and then you humiliate him.
I want to thank all our sponsors who make this possible live on stage. So Salli and First Beat are the main sponsors of the event, and there is a really cool exhibition upstairs, as you know. And today's program, amazing speakers. Thanks to all of you coming here from the States, from Peru, from all around the world, Finland, and so on, to share what you know about biohacking and letting us become the better versions of ourselves. So when it comes to biohacking itself and Biohacker Summit, it has been growing pretty steadily. And I'm happy to tell that this is now the largest biohacking conference in Europe and probably in Eurasia, and doubling size in every year. We have the main event every year in Helsinki, and then a side kind of like a satellite event in another country. Last year we were in London, this year in Sweden. Next year it could be Amsterdam, so the Netherlands. So you're most welcome to our main event in Helsinki on 13th to 14th of October. It's 1,000 people, 2 days of biohacking. And if I just could tell you who are the speakers on stage, but I can't yet, but we will be announcing them in June. Last night we had the upgraded dinner, and that's also something where we are kind of exploring the boundaries of between technology and biology and science and understanding of who we are. And you are pretty much what you eat. And we went foraging with Lisen Sundgren and wild food chef Sami Talberg here nearby, and pretty much collected everything that was on the plate. And the menu looked like this. We start with some performance boosting pills. We had some hemp flower juice for some CBD, and a bunch of adaptogenic plants and everything for people to be able to cook that night together and be focused and have the energy to go for 3-4 hours. I mean, you have to kind of admire chefs who do it like day in, day out for 12 hours in a row. But we had a pretty amazing meal. The recipes are going to be available soon if you're interested. Yeah, the clicker is kind of almost working. If you want to use a hashtag for anything on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, use BH Summit, and we would be happy to award the best tweet of the day by the end of the day with some fancy biohacking things. So what is biohacking? We really need to work on this thing. Cool. Oh, now we are talking. So biohacking is better living through science, technology, and nature. You are a complex system. When something breaks down, you go to the doctor's office. They look at which system it is in. Is it the nervous system? Is it the organ system? Is it in the skeletal system? Where is it? But to really understand like what led to it and also how to fix it, you have to go a little bit deeper or take a macro view. So when you look at what you are, basically, you are atoms. And those make up molecules and cells and tissues and organs and eventually you. And when you look at yourself as an organism, actually the number of bacteria and microorganisms living on your skin and in your digestive system outnumber your own cells. So the DNA that is affecting who you are, and also, by the way, what you think, is not just your own code of life, but also the code of life that is in the bacteria that lives in your gut, that is basically prehistoric. It comes from the very early days of life on Earth, and it's living right there. So if you look at just like the cyanobacteria in your digestive system, in the oceans we have them as seaweeds, for example. And if you look at mushrooms, by the way, did you know that every one of you is 60% portobello? So that's how close we are to our food chain. And in the end, we are kind of on the top of the food chain. And what you are not just what you eat, but what you absorb. And you're not just what you absorb, but what they eat, what they absorbed. So it comes from the oceans, from phytoplankton up to you, omega-3 oils, for example. And that's the key, is to understand that we are not alone on our ego trip of becoming a superhuman, but we have to hack our environment also and understand kind of what is the evolutionary perspective, how we have adapted to our environment. Carl Sagan has said that we are made out of star stuff. So, the atoms in your body, they don't just come from thin air, maybe air, in a certain sense comes, and maybe you absorb something from the sun. But if you really look at every single cell, they divide. And some of them divide every day, some of them every year. But eventually you are a totally different person a year from here. So whatever experiments you do on yourself, what you're doing to influence your epigenetics is creating a new version of yourself. And if you want to live forever, we are already doing it by dividing, by reproducing. We are passing on our genes. We already live forever, in a sense. I hope so, at least. So through systems thinking, we can better understand how does this system work. We can optimize it. We can take our performance and health and well-being to a completely new level. And today's topics definitely kind of go into very practical terms of how do you hack your sleep and nutrition and your mind and cognitive performance and the work that you do and the exercise and all that. But also what is really important to do in all this biohacking and optimizing yourself is recovery. Because there's just so much gas you can press. You have to also kind of wind down. And this kind of Eastern philosophy of yin-yang, or what is going on at every moment in your body, which is called homeostasis, the balance needs to be maintained. And Hannes has been going through some pretty serious time in the last few days.
Last few weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
and how do you know that, by the way?
Well, you have some data, at least. That's been, I don't know if you still have the system.
No, I was wearing a heart rate monitor for a few days last week.
Right, so First Beat makes this beautiful analytics based on their device, and you can get familiar with it upstairs. But here's Hannes, and here's his second day, and you see some peak moments there. What I see here is not a lot of green during the day. So when it comes to green, there is very little green, very little green. Oh, there's some green. So what did you do here?
I probably found a quiet corner in the office and played computer games on my smartphone. That's how I relax.
So that's biohacking, guys, because your nervous system is not going to recover if you just, fill every single moment of your time with, some activity that stimulates your sympathetic nervous system. And when you are in a sympathetic nervous system overactivated state on a constant basis, you compromise your immune system. You compromise actually also your creativity, because parasympathetic nervous system activation is what happens in rest and digest. That's when you are able to come up with new ideas. And that's when your full capacity, your ability to take information in actually is much higher than when you are in fight or flight mode, which is basically running from a lion, which most of us do for all our time. So really interesting data, really interesting learning. So when you annotate this with your own experience, what we've been up to with the actual data, this is a mirror to yourself. it makes you understand better yourself. It's a modern path to enlightenment in a way, what biohacking is. Because we are information. Information is primary. It's in our genes, it's in the biochemical messengers in our bloodstream, it's in our interactions, it's in our activity behavior. We mine this data now with different trackers and sensors and technologies, which is also called quantified self, self-knowledge through numbers. And there's so many ways how we can do this today with much cheaper cost, like DNA analysis and blood work and all that. And sensors, like this biometric shirt that I have right now, or this ring that measures my sleep and my body temperature and my sleeping patterns and heart rate variability and stress, and, all kinds of things can be put into this kind of cool little device. So when you make this data visible and when you visualize it, it's kind of like a feedback loop to yourself. Like in all cybernetic systems, you have an input, then you have a process, you have an output, and then there's the feedback loop through which the system learns. The system is you. The faster the feedback loops, the faster the learning. That's the key to quantified self. And the ultimate mastery of quantified self is to let go of the tools, let go of self-quantification. You don't need it anymore. You feel it. You know it. You are a Zen master. You're a freaking Jedi. That's the ultimate goal. But the current state is pretty much that it's not really knowing yourself, but the device knowing you. And it's not really about performing and optimizing and being a freaking hardcore biohacker, but it's about learning to be an infant, learning to be an adult from an infant. So if you look at these technologies, there are technologies for infants. Learning to walk, learning to sit, learning to stand, learning to eat, learning to breathe, learning to drink. So are we not very good at these things so that we need all these tools and freaking technologies to do it? Perhaps we have lost something, the natural rhythm of how to live a better life. And there is, by the way, even technology called the mother that kind of takes care of everything, if you are inclined. But in the end, it's about your behaviors and your patterns of behaviors. You are what you repeat. What is common to all great people, writers, authors, scientists, investors, entrepreneurs, and so on, is that they have some routines. And someone has a morning coffee, someone does intermittent fasting, another one sleeps in to the day and knows that he's a night person. Whatever it is, some of those patterns are beneficial to you and some of those patterns are detrimental to you, which are holding you back, which are shortening your lifespan, which are not helping you to do your work. So those are the things that you want to quantify, those are the things that you want to hack, those are the things that you want to optimize. That's my answer to anyone who asks, okay, where should I start? Start from where you have a problem. And if you don't recognize that problem yet, sometimes these tools help you to see that problem. So we are a way for the universe to see itself, what Carl Sagan said. And by the way, if you want to be a really hardcore biohacker, you're not sitting on your ass all day, but you're going to get some headphones and walking around the exhibition up there. You're not going to miss anything, because we have also recordings of this conference. So all the talks are going to be available to you afterwards. You don't lose any content if you're going around. Talk to people. That's where the real stuff happens. That's where you really learn. So I welcome you to the Biohacker Summit once again. So use BA Summit to tweet about the event. Thank you so much.